A calm mind is the master of emotions. You didn't come here by accident. Maybe a part of you is searching for peace. If that's true, then subscribe to Buddha Pray and stay with this video until the end, because here, every day, there's a story meant just for your soul. Now, let me ask you something. If a woman was betrayed, lost everything, and still smiled at the one who hurt her, would you call her weak or powerful? Today's story might change the way you see emotions, and maybe it will help you choose peace over pain. Her name was Elena. She lived in a small wooden house at the foot of the mountain in a quiet village where the wind carried stories more than voices. Years ago, her husband, Daniel, left her for another woman. He took everything. Their savings, their business, and even her name from the bakery sign they once built together. Elena was left with 2 children and a mountain of debt. She never cried in front of them. She never spoke badly of Daniel. She just smiled softly, tied her hair back, and went on with her day. She worked in the fields, came home to cook, and at night, she folded paper bags for the local market, not out of desperation, but out of quiet strength. The neighbors whispered, "She's too calm, too soft, she should be angry." They thought her silence was weakness, but her children saw something else. One winter night, after nearly 6 years, Daniel came back. He was thin, tired, and broke. The woman he left for had cheated him. He had nowhere to go. He stood outside Elena's house, unsure if he should knock, but the door opened, and she stood there with that same calm face. She looked at him and said, "You must be cold. Come in." She made him a warm meal, prepared a place to sleep, not a word of blame, not even a sigh. The village gathered the next morning. Everyone expected a scene, screaming, crying, anger. But there was only Elena, hanging laundry, as if the storm never came. The same day, her 10-year-old daughter, Isabel, wrote in her journal, "I don't know why my mother didn't scream, but I want to be like her when I grow up, calm enough not to hate anyone." Years later, Isabel became a renowned psychologist. When asked who inspired her the most in life, she smiled and said, "My mother wasn't rich. She wasn't famous, but she was the only person I knew who could smile at the man who broke her and still wish him well." Some called it madness, others called it divine, but in her silence, Elena taught the world something rare, that true power is not how loud you react, but how deeply you can love without letting pain turn you bitter. There's a teaching in the Dhammapada, one of the most profound texts of Buddhist wisdom. Even if a man conquers 1,000 men in battle 1,000 times, the greatest warrior is he who conquers himself. Dhammapada, verse 103. What Elena did was not an act of weakness. It was the highest form of mastery over the mind. You see, when someone hurts us, the first thing we want is justice or revenge. Our ego cries out for it, but the Buddha taught that reacting with anger only binds us tighter to suffering. In the Anguttara Nikaya, he says, "Hatred does not cease by hatred, but only through love does hatred cease." Elena had every reason to hate, but she chose to understand, not because Daniel deserved it, but because her peace was more valuable than her pride. You might ask, but doesn't forgiveness let the wrongdoer off the hook? Number forgiveness doesn't free them, it frees you. In Buddhism, there are 3 poisons that destroy peace: greed, hatred, and delusion. Hatred is the fire that burns the one who holds it. Holding on to resentment is like gripping a hot coal with the intent to throw it. But you're the one who gets burned. Elena didn't deny her pain. She simply didn't allow it to control her. She responded instead of reacted. That's what mindfulness teaches us. to be the master of emotion, not its slave. Peace is not the absence of pain, it is the presence of wisdom in how we choose to carry pain. Let me ask you, have you ever carried anger so long it became part of who you are? Did it ever bring peace, or did it slowly turn your smile into silence and your heart into stone? The Buddha taught, like a candle does not lose its flame by lighting another, the heart does not lose strength by choosing compassion. Elena lit a candle, not for Daniel, but for her children, for herself, for the future. True power is not in shouting louder, it's in choosing not to shout at all. And maybe now you see, a calm mind is not passive, it's not numb. A calm mind is a warrior in stillness. Dear soul listening, if you've ever been betrayed, misunderstood, or left alone to carry pain others caused, then maybe in Elena's story, you saw a part of yourself. Maybe you've been told to move on, or to forgive and forget. But your heart said, I'm not ready. And that's okay. Healing is not a race. Peace is not a destination. It's a practice, a quiet choice you make. Every time your anger whispers, burn it all down. But instead, you choose to breathe. You choose not to become what hurt you. Because here's the truth. You don't need to punish others to find peace within yourself. Forgiveness is not for them. It's for you. Letting go doesn't mean the pain didn't matter. It means you finally love yourself enough to stop drinking the poison. So, I want to ask you now, from one heart to another, is there someone you still haven't forgiven? What is it costing your peace to hold on to that anger? Do you believe that true strength lies in letting go or holding on? Write your truth in the comments. There's no judgment here, only a shared space for wounded hearts and healing souls. And now, to you, who stayed until this moment, I ask, can you be like Elena? Can you be so calm, so full of grace, that even those who wronged you feel safe in your silence? Can you turn your pain into understanding, your scars into soft eyes, your heartbreak into wisdom? Because that is how we change the world. Not by shouting louder, but by standing softer. If this story stirred something in you, share it with someone who needs it. It could be a friend, a mother, or maybe yourself. Subscribe to Buddha Pray, because here, every story is a seed, and when you plant them in your heart, you'll grow the kind of peace this world desperately needs. Thank you for listening, and until the next whisper of Dharma, may you walk gently, live mindfully, and love unshakably.